Wow. The robbery of Bishop Lamor Whitehead's church has opened the floodgates of speculation into the bishop's credibility, and the attention to the robbery has become somewhat of a backdrop amidst all the controversy. What is the truth?
Christ.
Welcome to the Charley Reed Show with your host, Charley Reed. This story is a part of a segment of the Charley Reed Show called Stay Tuned, because some stories keep developing on a daily or a weekly basis. So as we do a short recap of what has happened to Bishop Lamor and what is happening now, my answer to my own question about what is the truth is that at this point, we need verifiable receipts from Bishop Lamor Whitehead to believe anything and everything he says. Because not only is he disputing every accusation made against him that has been reported in the news and online, but his feud with Larry Reed keeps gaining more and more traction as they continue to compare notes about Bishop Lamor's past, present, and Larry's claim that jail is most likely coming soon in his future. So far, the many accusations that have been disputed by Bishop Lamor Whitehead includes the robbery being a setup to get insurance money and publicity, his conviction for identity theft and grand larceny, a $90,000 accusation in the Brooklyn Supreme Court that he stole retirement savings from Pauline Anderson, that his house was raided by the FBI, that he was seeking publicity when he was involved in turning a murderer into the police who had killed someone on the Q train. He denied some other accusations of taking money from other people, including from about $150,000 to as much as $800,000, whether he received the PPP loan, and at this point, this is all I can remember. Now the back and forth has increased between Bishop Lamor and Larry Reed of Larry Reed Live, since they had a nasty, heated exchange on Instagram Live, which included Pastor Genesis Warren. It was reported that the bishop preached a sermon that was essentially about Larry Reed on the Sunday after their Instagram dispute, and more recently, Larry has revealed that Bishop Lamor is lying about not being raided by the FBI, he's lying about getting a PPP loan, he's lying about not stealing money from his accusers, he has unverified but believable evidence of campaign fraud, and he's lying because he has 2 active FBI investigations against him, and he's lying about having integrity. Recently, Bishop Lamor Whitehead did an interview on Instagram Live with New York City rapper Fat Joe, and here are some snippets from that interview.
Yeah. That's off limits, right? Everything. But I see you in interviews after, and I'm thinking church. I'm thinking God. And so I see you get into it with a guy and a girl, and
no, hold on, Joe. I didn't call him homosexual, Joe. I called him a faggot. That's what I called him. All right, Joe. But let me touch on this real quick, Joe. Right? Because I want to say this, right? The reason why.
Do you not? And I'm not trying to go there, but do you think gay people are not people of God?
No, but faggot doesn't mean gay people. It means a bag of sticks. That's what that really means, right? If you want to get technical, I'm talking about Joe. If you want to get technical, man, if you really want to get technical, all right, they're a bag of sticks, you know.
This was so ignorant. We all know that Bishop Lamor Whitehead was not referring to homosexual men as a bag of sticks, which he is saying is a technical definition for that word. And I apologize to anyone offended by this slur. I didn't bleep it out because it was necessary to understand the full context of this discourse between Fat Joe and Bishop Lamor. He went on to say he was just calling Larry Reed soft by using that term.
Yeah, I don't play with God. Like, that's the whole thing. Now, I believe I want to be a preacher one day. I believe I want to give the word of God. The problem is I'm too much of a sinner, and I know it. And so I say to myself, yo, I can't play with God. God is almighty. He sees everything, right? So when that happens to you, I'm watching the news. I see it on the news. The first thing they say is, controversial bishop did 5 years for scamming people. He did 5 years in jail. It went straight for your juggler off rip, your credibility, the minute on TV, right? And so we all know that you could be born again or whatever. How did you get yourself jammed up and did that 5 years. And I just want to know, when was the moment? How did it happen that you said, I'm going to become a bishop and spread the word?
Growing up, man, you out here and, you got friends from the streets, you know what I mean? And when that case came about in 2004, I was arrested in 2006, and it was like soft allegations. However, I was arrested in the most racist county in the country, Suffolk County. And Joe, and hopefully, we do this again, but, they put together fake search warrants. They lied in motion saying that they didn't have no evidence. I got 5 affidavits from 5 different attorneys who represented me that stated that the DA hid evidence to convict me. I was also sentenced to crimes that I was found not guilty of. I was railroaded, you know what I mean? And as far as the grand larceny and identity theft, nothing was taken. It was all attempted to be taken, and they trumped up charges against me because that was the first identity theft case to ever be tried in Suffolk County. So they had a point to prove. One of the things that they did was, I was living in Jersey at the time, and Long Island wanted me so bad that they wrote an affidavit on their behalf, came to New Jersey, gave New Jersey the affidavit stating that they wanted to arrest me. New Jersey used that affidavit for their application to the judge, and New York came out to my house, put everything in garbage bags, put it in their trunk, and drove it back to New York. So nobody don't even know where this stuff came from, and that's why they hid all the evidence from my attorneys. That's why they hid the search warrants from my attorneys, because they knew that it would have been fruits of the poisonous tree.
According to Bishop Lamor Whitehead, it was everybody else's fault, and he didn't do anything wrong.
But that's your question. Earlier you said you didn't get paid for preaching, right? And in this interview, if I watched it and it wasn't Fat Joe and the Bishop, that would make me go, right? So everybody's misjudging you because you're flashy, you just fly, you young. And so when you said, listen, man, I got businesses, I don't take money from the church. Now, the only other question to ask you, which is an elephant in the room, is, was the jury insured?
Joe, I can't get into that league. That's legal. I can't get into that, Joe. I can't get into that, man. That's for legal purposes. Huh?
Mine is.
Yo, Joe, you crazy, man. Huh?
Outside. Because we outside. So my jury, Joseph Carter Jr., is insured.
No, I can't answer. But you know what? You know what, Joe? I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna answer it for you, Joe. Right? Because you my bro, right? The majority of the pieces was not insured. The majority of the pieces were not insured. And the majority of because I had just changed up and bought some new, and I didn't have time to insure it. So about 2 pieces was insured. I'm keeping it real with you, man. I think 2 or 3 pieces was insured. That's it.
Now, Bishop Lamor Whitehead says the majority of the jewelry was not insured, except for about 2 to 3 pieces. Well, my question is then, how many pieces were stolen? If you and your wife were wearing, say, 15 pieces of jewelry between the both of you, then yes, 2 insured pieces or 3 is not as significant. But if you and your wife were wearing 5 pieces total, then that is significant. And why couldn't he tell Fat Joe exactly how many pieces were insured and stolen? But to be fair, the audio cut out for a few seconds while he was talking. So I'm not sure if he said how many pieces of jewelry were stolen and how many of those pieces were insured while the audio was out.
I'm just a man. I fall short of the glory of God. What happened to the glory of the Lord? What happened to that? Was the church. What happened to that? It doesn't matter nothing else but what happened to that. And it's a spirit of perversion. And the first thing that a shepherd does, if you ever want to be a pastor, you cannot leave your sheep. The first thing you have to understand is you have to always stay focused on God. I get so much hate mail. I get so much things like people posting right here, 90,000, because there's something out there that says that I stole $90,000 from a parishioner. Now I have I have my ministry up here. Everybody that's in my ministry, have you ever saw or ever heard of that lady? Y'all know the lady that they said that Bishop took 90,000 from. And I want y'all to see. Have y'all ever heard? And if you go to my my Instagram, and I did it during my morning service, I said, have y'all ever heard of this woman? And they said, no, she's not a member of my church. She's not a member of my church. But I'm plastered everywhere that I took $90,000 from a parishioner of my church. And everybody, look, you're going to see the nose coming up because this is my church. We don't know her. We don't know her. Okay? And this is the picture that they paint about me.
I'm sure you noticed that Bishop Lamor Whitehead pretty much focused on the fact that this lady is not an actual parishioner of his, which was reported in the news, but he didn't make reference to the fact that there is an actual case in the Brooklyn Supreme Courthouse against him. Larry Reed has come out on his platform after this interview and doubled down on everything he has said about Bishop Lamor Whitehead, and also disputes the bishop's claims that he, Larry Reed, is the actual person who called the FBI on the bishop. And he alluded to the fact that there is no independent investigation into him other than Larry Reed contacting them. This is the story that keeps on giving, so I can probably be assured that I will be doing another video on this story, and very soon. So stay tuned. Bloopers. Why couldn't he tell... excuse me.